What is up, guys? I'm your friendly neighborhood web warrior fanatic, and we are back with another episode of the Web Warrior podcast here. But this one's gonna be a little bit different. So it'll just be, me here by myself. And originally this podcast was a way for me to kind of like talk to you guys about stuff that's not like directly related to Marvel Champions. And if you guys do not know, huge shouts to Nelson Oliver Cards. He is a very big Marvel Champions content creator, a very nice guy. Last month he dropped this video talking about his weight loss journey and then what he did and how he kept off the weight. And this was super duper inspiring. If you guys do not know, I'm actually a personal trainer. So like I really enjoyed listening to his story here. And it's very interesting as well. And I think that it can be helpful and inspirational for a lot of people out there who also want to, start on their fitness journey or to just stay motivated on that. So yeah, for this episode here, it's just gonna be me kind of commentating and reacting and sharing my thoughts about Nelson's weight loss journey here. Yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, go check out Nelson Oliver Carts if you guys don't know him. If you guys are watching my channel, you probably already know who he is. But yeah, let's just go ahead and jump into the video here, and I'll be pausing and giving you guys, what I think about what he did to lose the weight. And I think that he went about it in a very good and healthy way. So let's just go ahead and jump into it here.
I've been getting a couple of questions recently about kind of weight loss and all of that. And so I wanted to talk about it. First, I want to say that it was all healthy. I know that sometimes people lose weight and it's not something that they're trying to do. This has been something that I have been working very hard at. It started about, I want to say 2 years ago. No, it's probably longer than that. I think it was actually in 21 or 22. The I hit 280 pounds, and I was like, okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I had signed up to do not the full hike of Machu Picchu, but like the last kind of 10, 12 miles of the hike of Machu Picchu, 8 to 10 miles of Machu Picchu. And so I started to hike with that and to just kind of get prepare and get ready. And I noticed I started feeling a little bit better. And what really did it for me is I started counting calories. And I use an app called MyFitnessPal, where you can insert different foods that you eat and then it tracks your calories for you. And it was very annoying for like a month. And then now it's just like second nature. I just do it all the time.
Yeah, guys, I mean, I love hearing that. So counting calories is like the biggest thing, and it's actually the only thing that can consistently and like guarantee, gaining or losing weight, right? Because at the end of the day, it's gonna be, the calories that you consume in and then your calories out that determines, if you gain or lose weight. And where that weight is, muscle gain, muscle loss, fat gain, fat lost, there's other things to determine that, but the calories in and out determines that number on the weight, whether it's going up or down. So, there's so many different tools that you can do to facilitate that. But at the end of the day, tracking it is going to be the surefire way to make sure that happens. So that's what I recommend to all my clients, tracking their calories. And it can be very difficult at first, but it actually is not as difficult as what a lot of people would think. It can be pretty easy. And MyFitnessPal is a great tool to do that. You can actually just do it on your notes page. Like if you have like iPhone, you just type it in. Every single time that you eat something, like put something in your mouth, you can just literally just Google, whatever that is, and just like click on the first link. Look at the calories for it, and you just put it in. And then each time that you put something in your mouth, that day, you just add in like the next thing. And that's basically just what I used to do and what I recommend for all my clients. And sometimes you might be a little bit off, right? Like if someone cooks for you, or if you like make your own foods and you don't have the exact like calorie labels, that doesn't matter, because all the labels on like the back of stuff, it's not going to be exact. It's like an estimate itself, and companies are allowed to like round up or down on a number as well. So like for example, you take a look at like some Ritz crackers. I believe it's like they say like each serving size is like, let's say like 40 grams, and it'll be like it's like 5 crackers is 40 grams, right? Well, if you actually weigh out 5 crackers of Ritz, sometimes it'll be 40 grams, sometimes it'll be 39 grams, sometimes it'll be 42 grams, something like that, right? So like even that calorie label on the back is not going to be exact. So it's actually like physically impossible for you to track like to a T your exact amount of calories. And I found that with a lot of people, that's the number one thing that's making it difficult for them to track, is that they want to have like exact amount, and it's just too difficult with like home cooked food and stuff like that. But like even with that, even if you are trying to track all out and following the labels aren't accurate, because sometimes when you eat 5 Ritz crackers, it's not going to be that actual, let's say like 80 calories for that, right? It would be like 83 calories, 79 calories, because sometimes it might weigh more or less, right? So even with the serving size, that would tell you like, one serving is like, two crackers, five crackers, or like, one cookie, or like three cookies. The weight is sometimes off. So like even with that, it's very, very difficult to track it exactly. Don't put too much stress into it and just get started with tracking. Once you have a standardized number, that can really work out. So yeah, I mean, totally agree with like track calories. I think that that's like the surefire way to make sure that you know what you're putting in your body.
And so one of the things that I've learned is that counting calories is the science behind uh, losing weight. If you burn more calories or if you consume less calories than what you burn, you will lose weight. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can kind of trick your body into doing different things with like keto or paleo diets or things like that. But it comes down to how many calories you are taking in and how many calories and that delta based on how much you.
Yeah, so there's so many different diets out there, and I'm not gonna tell you guys that they don't work, right? They can definitely work, but it's not guaranteed that they will work for you, and it's not guaranteed that you may be able to follow that, right? The surefire thing is, calories in, calories out. Um, these diets, like what Nelson's saying, are like, ways that can trick your body to do certain things. But at the end of the day, it's always going to come back to calories in, calories out, right? Like if you're doing like a keto diet, but you're still eating, I don't know, 7,000 calories every single day, you're still going to gain weight. It's not going to magically help you like lose weight. Like intermittent fasting, I know that was a very big trend for a while, right? And that's where you have like a feeding window every single day. And like a lot of people would like swear by intermittent fasting, like it was super easy. I only ate between like let's say like 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. and I fasted, at night, I fasted in the morning, and like that helped me lose weight. But that's just a tool to facilitate someone to eat less calories, right? Because they didn't eat breakfast, they just ate less calories throughout, the total day, versus actually like the fact that fasting helped them like burn more calories. That's not true. It's really just because you ate less food. So if you're doing intermittent fasting, and let's say before you did intermittent fasting, you ate like 3,000 calories every single day, and during intermittent fasting, you have like a, let's say like a 6 hour feeding window, and you only eat, within those 6 hours, but you still eat 3,000 calories every single day, your weight will be the same. Like it's not a magic tool. It's just ways to help you like follow, eating less calories, right? So yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what Nelson's saying here. I mean, I don't know where he got his information, but there's a lot of misinformation about, dieting, working out. Nelson definitely has got some good information here. So yeah, very, very cool to hear that and very cool to see.
You are losing. So there are a couple calculations that you can do. There's a base metabolic rate, which is basically how many calories your body would burn if you were just sitting on the couch all day. And you can take that and then create a modifier called your TDEE, I believe. I don't know what that one actually stands for.
Something about his
TDEE, which based on
total
your
daily
lifestyle
energy expenditure.
can, like, if
I
you
mean, these are
are
just
active.
like, like terminology words. A lot of this stuff can be confusing for like beginners that just start, trying to go to gym and trying to lose weight. I wouldn't worry about like these official names or anything like that. But yeah, let's keep on going.
If you work in like a highly active job, it will modify that because as you're moving around, lifting things and doing stuff, you will be burning more calories. And so you can use that calculator to figure out how many calories you're burning each day. If you eat less than that, you will lose weight. If you eat more than that, you will gain weight. So it was like coming from like an analytical background. Once I kind of understood that science behind it, that really helped me just like understand, oh, this is what I need to do. So I started counting calories and using that app very religiously. I got like a.
So I want to talk, to anyone that's trying to find their like BMR or like their TDEE. Basically, there's a lot of calculators online. Those are all just kind of like guesses, right? There's no calculator that's going to be the exact same because every body is different, right? So like, someone may be, two people may be the exact same weight, exact same height, do the exact same activities every single day, but one person, may be able to eat, 2,500 calories a day, and the other one eats like 2,000 calories a day, and they don't gain weight. So like genetics play a big factor. So, the calculator may get you to like a good range, but it's not going to be exact. And, there's one surefire way, and this is what I tell all my clients to get an exact number of how many calories that you burn every single day. And yeah, it's super simple, but you just have to be consistent with it. So basically, you just track your calories, every single day, and then you also track your weight every single day. And when you're measuring your weight, I always recommend, right in the morning, right after, peeing, and before your number two. If you can number two every single morning, then after both, then you can weigh yourself. Just make sure that you keep consistency over it because your weight will fluctuate a lot. So you want to weigh yourself at the same time every single day. But basically, let's say you track 2 weeks of your weight every single day and your total calories every single day, and you're trying to hit like a specific calorie number. So let's say you eat like 2,000 calories every single day, and you track your weight for those 2 weeks, right? So if your weight goes up, then 2,000 calories is a bit much for you, right? That's over what your like metabolism is. And if 2,000 calories causing you to lose weight, in those 2 weeks, then that's a good calorie range for you if you're trying to lose weight. And that's basically the only way to figure out, for a specific person, if like what calorie range is good for that person, like if they need to eat more or eat less, or like exactly how many calories that there are. This is like the only way to actually know the number, because you can do all the calculations and tests online, but they'll never be exact for your person. So you actually just have to like, experiment with it and test it out yourself. And the number can definitely change. It can increase or it can lower depending on like what you do with your body, right? So that's why working out and building muscle is important for that, because the more lean body mass that you have on your body, the more calories that you will burn. So that's why like building muscle is kind of like the most, how do you say, reliable way to lose weight. It doesn't directly cause you to lose weight, but increasing your metabolism just because you have, more mass on your body that your body will need, to feed. That's why, training in the gym and building muscle is so beneficial for losing weight, because you can like eventually eat more food the more lean body mass that you have, on your body.
Scale. I weigh all my food. And just this is my personality where if I don't do something 100%, I will fall off and not necessarily do it. Um, so I would say that you don't necessarily have to do you don't have to be super duper accurate, because also calories burned is not going to be super duper accurate, but it's a way that helped me mentally understand and like keep up with it. That's just, find something that works for you is my biggest piece of advice. That's just what worked for me. How accurate do I get with my fitness pal? I found weighing everything is so tough, keep up all the time, especially when it comes to prepping meals, family eating out. Eating out is hard. Not only is it way higher calories, but also not all the time do they give you the calorie intake. And what I will say after doing it for about 2 years is you get pretty good at estimating. And I would say that I am less accurate now than I was 2 years ago. When I when I started 2 years ago, it was more of a discipline thing that I had to do it for myself. And now I am at my goal weight. Woohoo. I have lost, as of this morning, 102 pounds. So I'm down to 178
Awesome.
pounds. My goal weight was around 180. At this point, I'm doing a lot more exercise, and I'm actually having the opposite problem.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about what he talked about, like not being entirely accurate, and how, for his personality type, he wants to be very accurate. I think that I totally agree with that, especially with saying about like find what works for you. Everyone's gonna do things in a little bit of a different type of way. So you just gotta find what meshes with your own lifestyle and whatever works for you, and just flow with that, right? Like not everyone's gonna have the exact same, two journeys, with someone else. So like I think I was on a similar path as Nelson whenever I first, started to really work out and like track my calories. I was very, exact with everything, right? Like I was weighing my food and all that stuff. I mean, now here I don't even have a, food scale in my apartment, right? And I'm just kind of like eyeballing stuff, and I don't really track, at all. But let's say like, throughout the course of a month, like let's say like December, where like, we're eating out a lot, there's like Christmas stuff, all that stuff. If I notice that I gain weight, like let's say I'm like 5 pounds, 10 pounds over than what my normal weight is, then I can just, dial it in the next month, and then, eat a little bit of a deficit and just, get back to normal, right? So like, you don't have to track calories for the rest of your life. Is just to facilitate and help you get to where you want to be. Then you can be a lot more lackadaisical with it. And if you happen to go over, you can just recalibrate a little bit, for the next month, get back, to your ideal range, and then you can just go on from there, right? So it's something that definitely when you start, a lot of people are more motivated as well, myself included. So you're a lot more honed in on the exact numbers. But then throughout time, you want to find a way to mesh this with your lifestyle to make it, something that you can do reliably and consistently every single day, right? That's the most important thing. Sticking to it and being consistent, not about going super duper hard, for like 1 month, in the gym or like whatever, and then like taking a break the next month, right? Doing that is going to be like the worst thing. Your body doesn't want that. You want something that you can actually incorporate in your lifestyle, so you're not like just gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, and doing that, in cycles, right? So I highly recommend, what Nelson's talking about here, finding what works for you. I think the strategy that he found that worked for him, I think it's awesome. So I'm really glad that he's sharing this.
where I'm having a hard time eating enough, which is a whole other thing. But I don't necessarily weigh everything all the time now. That gets a lot harder. But MyFitnessPal has like functions where you can create foods and you can create recipes, which I've done a lot because my wife and I will frequently go back to these same like blueberry muffins that we make or the same breakfast sandwich, and I just create that as a recipe, and then like I just know I use this amount of cheese, I use this amount of eggs, and I just hit add. So it's you find tips or you find tricks to figure that out. But the initial start was definitely just counting calories and hiking. Once I started hiking and I started feeling better, it was weird. It's crazy. I then started doing more disc golf. Disc golf is something that I started back in 2016, and I really enjoyed disc golf. Uh,
I love disc golf. Me and Nelson actually talked about disc golf on the episode of my podcast that I actually had him on. So very cool. Yeah, I mean, disc golf is, I mean, just any activity that you do like outside for cardio, as long as you enjoy the activity, that's like the number one thing. And because you want to find something that you can actually reliably do, consistently, right? It always just comes back down to consistency. So like if you hate disc golf, I mean, don't play disc golf, right? That's not gonna work out for you if you're just not a fan of that. But whatever you can find, if you like doing it, that's a great way to do cardio, and the cardio will help you burn, more calories. But I do want to also add that it's not entirely necessary to do cardio because a lot of people absolutely hate cardio. Cardio is super good for you, right? It's really good for your heart. But if you are solely just trying to lose weight and that is your number one goal, you do not have to do cardio. All you gotta do is eat less calories than what your body needs, right? That's all you gotta do to lose weight. So doing cardio is a way to, get you under that number, right? Because it'll burn calories and help you like subtract some of that, for the day. But it does not like it's not the end all be all. So like for people that hate all forms of cardio, right? Like you hate swimming, you hate pickleball, you hate disc golf, you don't like anything. That's okay. Like you can still, get on this journey and lose weight. You just gotta be a little bit more diligent with how you track your food and eating because you don't have the extra buffer of like doing cardio to help you lose weight. Also, be wary about doing such intense cardio that it makes you super hungry afterwards and you like eat more food than the calories that you burned from the cardio. So that's also another thing that people should be wary for. But yeah.
um, just a ton. And I found that I started doing that more and more. And at the time, recently, I bought like a smartwatch. I had a Apple Watch, and then I switched it out for a Garmin Venu 3, and then I've changed my Garmin since then. But I bought the Garmin, and I used that to start tracking how many calories I was burning playing disc golf. And I think one of the critical things for me was to figure out or to associate disc golf and hiking not necessarily as a workout, but something that I enjoyed. Because as soon as I framed it in my mind as I like doing this, the workout became second to the enjoyment of the actual activity, and I didn't have a negative connotation of hey I have to go work out, which is something that just in my past is not something I've always associated working out with bad, and something that I don't enjoy, or running I don't enjoy it, and so
Yeah, so I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but like whenever I was a kid and like let's say like I'm like traveling somewhere with my parents or whatever, and we're like walking around a lot, in like a new city. Well, if I'm walking around and I'm seeing cool things, like let's say like Disneyland, like I don't really feel tired, right? It's fun. I get to like see new things and like do cool stuff. But if I'm just like walking like in transit to like a, whatever location, I get super duper tired because it's just boring, right? You're just like walking and being bored. And you really feel the impact of like the boredom and you feel your legs more tired as well, right? So like for me, if I'm doing something that I like and enjoy, like if I'm playing pickleball or like playing basketball, I can do that for like hours and not feel fatigued. But if I had to like walk or like jog for that exact same amount, I'll feel super duper tired, even if it's like less actual, running or whatever than the sports, just because I enjoy, doing the sports. So that's like more reason to really find something that you like to do and and do that stuff, right? Because if you're doing something that you don't want to do, it's gonna feel painful. and it's gonna be harder to stick to. I mean, if you can stick to it, that's entirely fine. But I personally find it very difficult to stick to, and it's not something that I recommend for clients either, just because it is a harder thing to do. So.
When I was able to psychologically convince myself that I enjoy doing the activity and I didn't frame it primarily as a workout, that's when I started to enjoy it more. And then I started doing that more and more. And as you start working out more, you're then able to eat more and you can figure out that deficit. To give you an idea, I think looking back on it, I think I was a little bit aggressive on the weight loss. Um, I didn't know any better, but just I was eating at 1,000 calorie deficit every day, which was very tough. But at 1,000 calorie deficit, you're looking at about 2 pounds a week loss. 500 calories every day for a week, you will lose a pound a week.
Yeah, so I usually recommend a 500 calorie deficit. I totally agree with what Nelson saying here. 1,000 is very, very steep. It's so whenever you're going that deep of a deficit, there's a couple reasons why that could be not the most advised thing. So the first thing is, obviously it's just hard to stick to, right? You're just starving more, and it's gonna be just tougher to do, and you may just quit because you're like, okay, I'm not able to do it. Like this stinks, and your life will suffer just because you're like not eating anything, right? The other reason is if you're on too steep of a deficit, you risk burning or losing muscle out of that. So you really, really don't want to lose muscle. And a lot of people, I know a lot of people don't want to be like, big jacked bodybuilders, which is, entirely fine. The first thing is that's actually very difficult to do, but you want to actually have muscle on your frame because it's very good for your joints. And like we talked about earlier, it helps you eat more food, right? It keeps your metabolism up because you need to feed your muscles or your muscles, require more calories just to like stay like there, stay alive, right? So another reason is when you go into deep of a deficit, you risk burning and losing your muscle as well. But if you're using your muscle, that's a great way to combat that, right? If you're constantly, in the gym training, then you'll keep muscle. And if you're new to the gym, you might even build muscle while you're losing weight, just because your body's not used to that new stimulus. I'm sure you guys have all heard like newbie gains, so that's definitely a real phenomenon. So that's one of the best times to like really, go and like lose weight and still be able to build muscle. But I do recommend, a 500 calorie deficit. Just losing 1 pound a week is very good because, think about like throughout the course of a year, if you lost, 52 pounds in a year, I mean, that's awesome. But obviously, Nelson went with a 1,000 calorie deficit and it worked out for him. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say like it won't work. It definitely can work if you are, strong-willed enough to stick to it. But usually I find that it's pretty difficult. So Nelson, kudos to Nelson for sticking to a 1,000 calorie deficit for a very long time to lose more weight. It'll definitely help you lose more weight more quickly. But like I said before, that's not always going to be a good thing. So
It's kind of the math. And so I was eating at 1,000, which is the highest or the most aggressive weight loss that MyFitnessPal allows you to do. If I was to do it again, I would probably stick with 1.5, 750 or 500 and slow down the weight loss a little bit just because it was aggressive and like you're just tired after a while. And then after doing that for so long, I think I did it for, I don't know, 8 to 10 months, maybe even longer than that. I found that my body didn't need as much food and I got used to it. And so now that I'm eating at a more normal level, a maintained level, it's harder for me to actually eat more food, which is just weird how quickly over the course of a couple of years it changed like that. I bike 4 to 5 times a week at this point, and just kind of again associating the exercise with something you enjoy rather than something that is required of you, whether or not that's a self-imposed requirement or not, really helped me shift my relationship to exercise from something I didn't like to something that, oh, I just need to find what I actually enjoy and then do that. So I started biking a lot. And then I think once I started biking, that's when I started rapidly losing weight because I was working out a lot more. And then I was also eating at a deficit, which I again, do not recommend. If you're doing heavy workouts, don't eat at a huge deficit because your body will not like that. And so I had to adjust and figure that out. But I was using my Garmin to track how many calories I was burning during those workouts and still eating at that deficit. But if I burned 700 calories in a workout, then I was eating, I think at the time I was eating at like 1630 calories a day. which would be my base, and then I would then eat 2,300 calories or 2,300 calories a day because I added 700. So anything that you burn in a workout, you get to eat if you are tracking based on your TDEE. And so I was doing that, and then I don't know how it got in my head, but I decided that I wanted to do to train for a triathlon, and so that's where we're at now. So I went from, a couple of years ago, I would be winded walking up the stairs to now I just finished an hour swim right before the stream. I got an hour and a half bike ride after this, and my goal is to do the half Ironman in Louisville next year in August, and potentially a full Ironman in 27, depending on how the half goes.
Yeah, it's
So yeah,
awesome.
that it was not easy. I like anyone who says that it's easy is lying, but I would say it's very satisfying. And when it was definitely worth it, at least for me, to push through the challenge of it to get to the satisfaction of it. But it's not something that I thought would be as satisfying as it was when I started, or maybe even for the first like 12 months. And I think that is something that is so hard for just humans to comprehend, that long-term payoff, and it's worth it until it actually happens. Um, but yeah, I'm significantly happier. I think it has helped with like my mental health as well. I was not in a great place back when I was that heavy, um, and I do believe that there is a correlation between the physical and the mental health as well, at least for me. And so yeah, I'm happier, I'm healthier. I appreciate you asking. Yeah. Um, yeah, and that's it. I am more than happy to answer any questions. I wanted to talk about it. I've gotten a couple questions on different videos, comments asking me to talk about it. So, yeah, I thank you for asking. I think it was Jeff who asked me to to talk about it because I was like, I'm going to talk about it today, and I was like, nah. I don't know why, as a society, we stigmatize talking about it. Um,
Yeah, I think it's really cool, by the way, that Nelson is so honest and transparent about his own personal fitness journey and just sharing all this information. I think that he has a really good idea and plan for what he did and how he got to where he is. So yeah, I mean, huge kudos to Nelson here, and for sharing the story as well. So that's really cool to see. Very awesome.
I'm not 100% sure why, but I wish, or I hope that this can be a place where that stigma goes away, because I am very happy to help talk about it and help in any way that I can. If anyone else wants to know more, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I totally agree there is a stigma. I think for me, because I talk about this like every single day, I so I don't know if hopefully I didn't offend anyone here, but with what I said, it's just, I'm just sharing my thoughts. So yeah, I talk about this all the time, so I don't really feel like a stigma like for where I'm at, like the people that I talk to, just because everyone's always asking, for information, and people like hearing more about this, for the people that I talk to. Hopefully, everyone is just openly able to talk about, whatever they do, and share, their own strategies and whatever they've done and what's worked for them to help them lose weight. Because there's a lot of misinformation in the fitness industry. There's a lot of like, gimmicks that people will sell you, but what Nelson's talking about here, I think that I mean, I agree. It takes a lot of hard work. There is no shortcut. If anyone's trying to sell you a shortcut, don't don't go for that, right? There is no thing. You have to actually put in the work yourself. If you didn't do it the right way, it's very hard to maintain, and it's very easy to bounce back, right? Because if let's say you like magically woke up and you lost 50 pounds, well, you didn't know what it took to get there, so you just keep up your lifestyle from before, you just regain that weight, and you're gonna be worse off if you do that. There's different things that you can do out there that are like shortcuts, and they may work, right? I'm not saying that they don't work, but just be mindful of what you're going to do after that shortcut and how you're going to keep that off, because there's no point in like getting where you want to go and then you immediately just go back to where you were in like a year later, right? So yeah, let's see what else Nelson has to say.
I think so. And the energy you put out is the energy. Yeah. And that's really interesting. I like that quote a lot because you're storing energy. It's almost like the energy that you put in earlier, you will get it back, potentially even more. Because now I don't I'm just able to do a lot more. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And thanks for listening. It's different than what's normally on the channel, so I appreciate you letting me talk for a little bit, but yeah. Again, any questions, very happy to ask. Nothing is off limits. I'm happy to talk about it. Makes me motivated to see the process you get. Oh, that makes me happy. Yeah, just let me know if there's anything I can do to help, um, it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's it. It's just going to be a shorter episode of this podcast where I'm just kind of like just rambling here. But yeah, hopefully this was informative for you guys. If anyone's interested in starting their fitness journey and all that stuff, hopefully this is inspirational for you, and it can give you like some information and makes things just seem like a little bit easier to start. Right? I know that for myself included, right? Just starting to go to gym, starting to track calories, do all that stuff is it can feel like a lot. And I promise you, when you actually get started, it's not as complicated as it seems. You just gotta just do things the right way and be consistent on it, right? Like it takes a long time to see the results. You have to really be consistent and do it every single day. And if you missed it for like whatever reason, right? Like you missed a week because of like traveling or like something happened, that's okay. Just hop back on it. You don't actually have to do it every single day, right? Like you can give yourself some breathing room. Don't be hard on yourself, right? Oh, one other huge tip for like tracking calories is let's say like you want to eat like 2,500 calories every single day, right? And let's say like I don't know, Christmas Day, you guys went out. It was like a big Christmas dinner, and you ate like let's say 3,500 calories that day, so you went over. Okay, it's not the end of the world. All you gotta do is eat 2,000 calories for the next 2 days. Your body doesn't care like that. Oh, it's like this one day I went over, so I'm gaining fat. That's not how your body like calibrates that. It's calculating, throughout the weeks, throughout the months, throughout the years, right? So if you're in that deficit and you fix that by like just eating less calories on the next 2 days, well, you're good to go. And like, one thing that I personally like to do is if I know that I'm gonna have like a big like buffet dinner, maybe I'll like skip breakfast and lunch that day. And I'll just eat like a huge dinner and then just be okay with that, right? You can also like eat a little bit less calories before the day leading up to Christmas. Maybe like just the day before Christmas, you like do what Nelson's doing and you go in like 1,000 calorie deficit, like a heavy deficit for like 1 or 2 days leading up to Christmas. So that on Christmas, you can eat those 2,000 calories in addition to whatever like you're eating every single day. So you eat a crap ton of calories, on Christmas because you are prepared for it the days in advance, right? So there's many ways to go around it. It's flexible. It's not like a thing where like you have to eat 2,500 calories every single day. If you eat any more than that, you'll like gain weight. That's not true. Don't worry about that, guys. It is a flexible process that you can fit into your lifestyle. So yeah, I hope this video was informative. I hope you guys like this type of content. It's a little bit different than what I usually do, but still somewhat Marvel Champs related because we're talking about Nelson here, who is a Marvel Champions content creator. So yeah, Merry Christmas, guys. I hope everyone is having a amazing holiday season. I hope you guys like this one, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.